like to call the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting September 27th to order. And if you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Sherry Butler, Kyler Cox,
Here.
Christopher Gallagher, Ed Heil,
Here.
Ashley Pasquale,
Here.
Todd Taylor, Scott Welty,
Here.
Natalie Strader, Michelle Lynn. Here.
All right, move on to call to the public. If anyone has anything they'd like to present to the board, you may have your 3 minutes up at the podium. If you'd state your name and you can discuss whatever you have. We just can't bring it up as illegal or any conversation about that. If it's on the agenda, we can wait till we get to the agenda to talk about that. And don't see anybody running up. We'll go on to approval of the July 26th meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 26 meeting minutes.
And if I can get a second.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any?
Okay.
All right. Communications, announcements, and staff report. Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In our recreation department, our after-school program was able to accommodate 25 additional participants from the wait list this month due to being able to hire 3 additional staff. We are still continuing efforts to hire more staff to be able to dwindle that waiting list as best as we can. So if anybody is looking for a job, we are available on the website at www.lhcaz.gov. Elk Soccer Shoot will be happening in October. One thing that came out of the whole COVID thing is the Elks actually travel to each of the school sites to put on this program, and it works out really well as opposed to having it transporting the children into the aquatic center and having them all together. It's a little bit more personal touch for the Elks. Some upcoming fall events from the recreation department will be concerts in the park, the fall fun fair, the youth talent show, and trick or treat movie night. We are still accepting applications for booths for any club in the community at the fall fun fair. In the aquatics department, there will be a Girl Scouts private pool rental on Sunday, October 3rd. The San Bernardino Sheriff's Office will do a dive training on October 8th. Lake Havasu High School home swim meets are scheduled for October 14th and October 21st. And the after-school swimming program will be having a swimming field trip on October 28th. Some events going on at the community center. We have a Veterans Resource Fair October 2nd, Arizona Collectible and Firearms Show October 9th and 10th, the Western Welcome Bunko competition on October 18th, Lake Havasu High School Pasta Dinner will be held October 23rd, and there's a blood drive October 25th and 27th. A lot of upcoming events in our parks, for a lot of them tie into the 50th anniversary of the bridge and the celebration. So I'll quickly read through. Most of these events are posted on Go Lake Havasu's website, and some additional information can be found there. October 1st is Coffee with the Mayor and City Manager under the bridge. October 1st, concerts in the park at London Bridge Beach. October 2nd, there's a breast cancer walk at Rotary Park in the stage under the bridge. October 2nd and 3rd, a Royal Jubilee event at the stage under the bridge. Excuse me. October 7th, Battles and Brews at London Bridge Beach. October 8th, concerts in the park at London Bridge Beach. October 9th, the IJSBA Freestyle Jet Ski event in the Channel. October 9th and 10th, the Fall Fun Fair at the Parcel on McCullough and Quarrio. October 14th, the UTV Festival will be held at the on McCulloch Street as well as at the parcel. October 16th, the Fall Fun Fair at the Rotary Ball Fields. October 16th and 17th, Mind of McCulloch event at London Bridge Beach. October 22nd, concerts in the park at London Bridge Beach. October 22nd and 23rd, Pumpkin Festival at the parcel on McCulloch. October 22nd and 23rd, Relics and Rods Car Show will be held in the North Rotary. They'll be held on the golf course at the resort, but the north parking lots will be utilized as well for parking. October 23rd, the Beard and Mustache event will be held at the stage under the London Bridge. October 23rd and 24th, there's a baseball tournament at Rotary, Sarah, and Dixant Park. October 24th, there's a Steve March Torme concert at the stage under the bridge. October 27th is a Walk Away from Drugs event at the parcel on McCulloch. October 28th, it will be the Youth Talent Show at the stage under the bridge. Also on October 28th is the dedication ceremony at the stage under the bridge. October 29th will be concerts in the park. October 30th, Havasu Pioneers event at London Bridge Beach. October 30th, concert at the stage under the London Bridge. October 31st, there's a brick dedication ceremony at the stage under the bridge. October 31st, a Boy Scout pancake breakfast at the stage under the bridge. And October 31st, Fright Night on McCulloch. And October 31st, there's also a trick-or-treat movie night at the Aquatic Center. With that, I think that's a good number of events for the month of October. That concludes my report. With that, I'll take any questions.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. King?
First off, good job. That was a lot to read, so kudos. I do want to say it's cool to see that the city's getting back to doing all these events after a year off. So it's really great to see a full October like that. And then I also just want to thank Director Keene and I think one member of his staff that helped with the bridge lighting, the new lights under the Lena Bridge. It looks awesome. So definitely thank your staff for that. It'll be cool to see that during a lot of these events that are going on.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go
I
ahead.
have a couple of questions for Mr. Keene.
Sure.
And to make a comment, it's really great to see the free events for families. And I think most of these are, well, a lot of these are free events. So I do have a couple questions related to that, though, as far as costs for families' attendance. The Fall Fun Fair is like you can go in to the park for free, but is it where you pay for tickets to do some of the activities?
Correct. You purchase tickets, and each booth charges a different number of tickets, and then the kids get candy or prizes, and it's used for a fundraiser for each of the clubs.
Okay.
Mostly, the high school or different clubs within the city, and then so yes, that's
Okay.
how that operates.
And the movie night at the Aquatic Center, what is that cost going to be? Do you know?
That is a free event.
Oh, that's fantastic. Great. One more. So no fall break Parks and Rec camp for the school kids?
Correct. We do not have a fall break camp.
Okay. And do you know about how long that wait list is for the after school program now?
I do have the numbers here. It looks like, depending on the school, we're averaging about 15 for each of the schools.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Anybody else? Staffing, how shorthanded are we still with that?
I would say realistically for the after school program, we could still use probably a good 10 to 15. Lifeguards, I know we could use another 5 or 6. We do have an open enrollment coming for them. We could still use a couple cashiers, and we'll have, I believe, a couple of parks positions opening as well. So overall, we could still use a fair chunk of staff. to be
Awesome.
fully staffed.
And again, that can be done by the Parks and Rec website, the city website. They can get all
Correct,
the
at the city.
information and do all that. Perfect.
City website, www.lhcaz.gov. Click on employment opportunities.
Yes. Looks like we got a lot of them.
Could I follow up to that?
Yes, you may.
What's the minimum age for employment for the lifeguards and the after-school program?
16.
Okay, thanks.
Great for some high school kids to get involved with also. Perfect. Anybody else? All right. If we're done with that, then we will go on to the public hearing. And first will be 7.1, discussion island football field history and current conditions. Mr. Key.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we kind of look back at what we could find in the history books of Havasu for how the ball fields on the island came about. It appears in 1986 we have some blueprints for the fields that were included in an upgrade to the treatment plant itself. As far as the treatment plant goes, the area in front there, really the primary purpose of putting the grass in was as a way to get rid of some of the effluent water that is created on the site. That is still the main purpose from the water treatment plant's perspective of those fields, is a place where they can dispose of some of that water. Now we have increased the amount of usage for that effluent around the island. London Bridge Beach is treated with effluent water. A lot of the trees around the island path are treated with effluent water. And we also have a line running to I'm sorry, I kind of had a brain went dead there, but to the park on the island where we could fill a basin if needed. With the golf course closing on the island out at the Nautical a couple years ago, we did end up the water department had to flood the fields at the island treatment plant to the point where we did have ducks swimming, and so that is still the primary use from the water treatment plant's perspective of those fields. We are trying to find multiple uses for that water so that we don't have to flood that field. Because that does change the playability, the conditions out there considerably if that field needs to be underwater for a significant amount of time. It appears that the community came together in 1991 or early parts of the 90s and kind of flattened out that area and created what is now the football field. It is used for football, for soccer. In 1995, the lights were added to the field, and 96, the scoreboard, which is currently being replaced. The Chiefs got the scoreboard donated, and so the city is helping install that as we speak. As far as the current conditions go, there are certainly some cosmetic issues that I think can be and need to be taken care of, as far as some painting, some fence work, possibly some bleacher replacements. And then there's the concept of some longer term fixes, and one of them being the field conditions. So again, this fields out here are a little over 30 years old. They've been on effluent water ever since. So the soil has a very high salinity content. The pH is not ideal for growing grass. So there are some remediation efforts that could be done there to help the field itself. Some upgrading to the restrooms, the snack bar, as well as the parking lot, and some more longer term, higher dollar figures that some areas that need to be addressed there. So again, the football field as it stands today is used for football, softball, soccer, cheerleading. Just kind of a lot of the activity is taking place out there throughout the year. One of the nice things is we are able, outside of football season, to program different spaces, outside of soccer season, program the soccer fields for different uses as well. So kind of different activities do take place throughout the year there. With that, it kind of concludes my portion of the presentation. I know Board Member Cox brought this item up, and there are some guests to speak to it.
Thank you. Just a couple topics I want to cover, and great presentation. Thank you. The history of that field is pretty astounding to think that, again, this kind of came about in the early 90s. I guess I'm not that old, but that field's almost as old as I am. So kind of an interesting topic. And the fact that the majority of the upgrades, the scoreboard in 96, the lights in 95, all happened within the 90s. And I think an important topic to note, and for all of us to be aware, is that this is the only football field that we have available for the public within the city. Obviously, there's a nice fancy football field that the district just built, but I don't believe that's available to anybody at this point. So I did invite quite a few members of the users to speak tonight. I guess I'd like to try to invite Dan Cross. He's the president of the Chiefs football program, which is a huge program, and kind of just let him talk about his program and I guess his use and necessity of a field and maybe a field with a little bit better conditions and how it would really help his program. So Dan, I don't know if you're willing to speak on this. That button on. Should show green.
Should be good.
Dan, give me 1 second. Before we can call anyone from the public, we'll need to just see if there's any additional comments from the board, and then and then open that. Sorry, just a little procedural.
No worries. With that, does anybody else have any comments or anything to say on this before we call to the public? Okay, cheers.
All right, my name's Dan Cross. I've been the president of our league for 6 years now. It's my third term. I've been involved with them for just about 10 years as far as a coach and on the board. Like Kyler said, this is our only field that we really can use for football because it does have the goalposts. It has the scoreboard, the snack bars there. The conditions of the field, I mean, I get the water thing. I know that was a couple of years ago. It was a shock. We had our signups, and I was like, there's ducks on our field. This is crazy. But I mean, I get it. I totally understand that. But it's just recently there's been just a lot of holes and stuff that are starting to develop in that field. And I don't know if it has to do with the way that the soil is, or I don't know anything about any of that stuff, but I know there's potholes and stuff that the grass kind of covers up. So it's becoming kind of an issue for our kids, possibly twisting ankles, breaking ankles and stuff out there. I know probably since the field started, there probably hasn't been any kind of scrape done to it, and even just the angles of like where the water can run off. I know a lot of the schools and stuff that have these fields, they're kind of angled to where water runs off to it. We've actually got divots like on the northeast end of our field. When it rains, it fills up. It doesn't do it so much with the sprinklers because it doesn't pump out as much water, but there's a couple of places where it's real low, and when it rains, it fills up pretty bad and it turns to mud. And I know that the city works hard on keeping the grass up, but it kind of defeats the purpose. It gets pretty chewed up and messed up. We try to keep the kids out of it, but you got to kind of use the whole field. We are traveling. We do have we're in a Phoenix region right now, so we are going to be bringing Phoenix teams out here. And we really want them to come out here, enjoy the city, because they're going to be spending money. Because like we were playing up in Phoenix and we were staying the night there, we had to go eat, and we want them to do the same thing here. So we want them to come to a nice field. I mean, it's good for what it's for right now, but I mean, it could be better. And a lot of these teams, they'll come out here, they'll spend money with us. There's opportunities for us to run camps. I mean, I keep getting messages left and right from guys that want to come out to Havasu just because of Havasu, because of the bridge and the water. People just they like coming out here, and some people have never been here. I got a couple guys from New York that want to run a camp out here, but with the field conditions, I just don't know if it'd be something we could feasibly do without getting kids hurt. It's just we just need to do something about the field. We try to do what we can out there. I know there was issues with people using the field that weren't supposed to be using the field, leaving the trash cans on the field. They were getting full of water, killing the grass. That really hasn't happened a whole lot because I try to go out there on Sundays and try to kind of police it, just to make sure that people that aren't supposed to be out there aren't out there. I know there are, like the adult football league does use it, and I know that they go through the city for it. We got people up there taking their dogs, using it as a dog park, even though there's signs out there that say don't use it. You know, you're not supposed to have your dogs out there. People are still going out there and using it as a driving range. So just putting more divots in the grass and stuff. And like I said, I know the city does take care of it because we go out there and you can see where they're aerating it and mowing the grass and making it look good. I just don't know if there's anything we can do. I've talked to Kyra about it a couple of times, but as far as trying to keep these people off without, I don't know, bullying them, I don't know. It's just, it upsets me because I know what I have to go through to use the field. I've got to have insurance. I've got to pay for the usage. I've got to do all that stuff. And then people are just using it and they destroy it. They don't care. I mean, we had to have the windows replaced recently. Somebody threw a rock through the window. It's been tagged up. I know for a while there, people were using it for soccer and they're kicking balls up against a snack bar, destroyed the outside of our snack bar, putting holes in it. Luckily, we had people that could fix it for us. It actually broke a pipe inside and flooded the inside, so I had to repair that. But it's just one of those things where for the youth of this town and having only the one field, I think we should be able to get it just a little bit better. And I don't know what that would entail. I had a person about 5 years ago that was willing to do it for free as a donation, but at the time, the soccer park was under construction, so they had to use the field for soccer. And I get that, but we had the opportunity to have this done by somebody from even outside the city. They do it as a donation every year. They do 2 fields. And as far as getting that guy back out here, I don't know if I can do that because the guy that was in contact with him is no longer part of our board. I don't even know if he's in contact with this guy anymore. But I mean, we really need something to be done with that field. I'm worried about kids getting hurt. That's the main thing. I know we have ant problems out there, and we've got now snakes. There's been a huge issue with snakes out there. But my main concern is the kids' safety out in that field. And it just seems like every year it keeps getting worse, and it keeps getting worse. And that's pretty much all I got. I know it just seems like that field's kind of been forgotten. I know a lot of the fields around town have been getting taken care of. Like, I mean, Rotary's beautiful, beautiful grass. And I know it's probably a different situation because of the water and stuff like that. But the football field, I mean, we have 120 kids as far as football players and another 30 to 40 cheerleaders that use this field. And now it's a shame to let it just keep getting worse and worse. So that's all I got.
I've got a question for you, Dan. You can hang out up there.
Yeah.
A couple questions, actually. I guess first question: how long is the Chief season?
We do our preseason starting in June, and depending on the teams, if they go deep into playoffs and if they make nationals, it would end in December.
Okay.
But normally, I mean, we haven't had the opportunity to go to nationals, so it usually ends about midway through November.
Okay. So
it's usually an 8 to 10 week season, and then the preseason to get the kids acclimated to the heat. We do about a 4-week acclimation period. So we don't just get them out there and start running them hard. We slowly get them used to our heat that we have out here.
A couple other questions I've got for you. You covered it as far as the users and the out-of-town teams, but how often are out-of-town teams coming here to use our field and not just our field, but also our resources and hotels and restaurants and things like that?
So for we're having an 8-game season this year. So for this season is split 50-50. We'll have 4 away games and 4 home games. And that's not including if we're going into playoffs, we could host playoffs too. So then we could be hosting multiple out-of-town teams playing in Havasu.
So let's say that. So obviously there's 4 weekends essentially that you're gonna in the standard season that you're gonna have other teams coming here. How many teams are there that are actually coming, right? So there's 1 day of games, but how many teams are playing within those games?
So it can be anywhere from 4 to 6.
4 to 6 teams per day, per weekend?
That are not Chiefs teams.
Okay.
Teams that are playing us, yes. And they could be from Phoenix. Our region is from Phoenix down to Tucson and Yuma as well. We were just down in Yuma last weekend.
All right. Couple more, I promise. So I guess you as I would say, and Mike, you could maybe correct me. Would you say the Chiefs is maybe one of the biggest users of this field? I mean, actual paying users.
Certainly, the football field on the island, or the field on the island, we do mainly utilize for football. That is its main purpose. However, there are a lot of other users during the off season, the Chiefs off season, that do utilize that space as well as it is, in our park inventory. So there are some opportunities that anyone could just rent it to utilize the space. But yes, most definitely the Chiefs are the main user of that field.
And the reason I asked that is, Dan, what would be one of your priority, like your first things, if you could have this done tomorrow, what would be one of your first priorities to get fixed on that field or corrected on that field?
Just the field.
Just the field itself?
Yeah, just making sure that the drainage is right and that all the potholes and stuff are taken care of. Okay. That's the main thing. I mean, everything else we can deal with. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we got the newer goalposts up there, so it's looking good. But that's another thing. When people come into town, they decide to use them as monkey bars and hang from them. So I don't know how much longer those are going to last. But the field is it's definitely the field conditions.
Okay. As far as fencing, is that field secured or securable?
It is not secured. It could be.
I mean, is there open areas that there's no fencing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. The front.
The reason I asked that is what's your minimum age you start children playing football? 5 years old. So
5 years old.
And again, the reason I ask is, so I've got experience coaching baseball, and I coached the T-ball team last year. And one of the best parts about the baseball field, specifically at Sarah Park, is that it's fenced, right? So these 5-year-olds aren't running out to the highway or the roadway. Is that the case at these fields, at the island field?
We don't necessarily have kids running off, but I mean, I guess it could happen. I mean, they could get there onto that main road.
Okay.
But I mean, there's a fence it's on 3 sides of it, except for that one facing the road there.
Okay. So, and the last question I have is the scoreboard. Obviously, we heard tonight that was put in originally in 1996. So it sounds like it was you guys gathered donations through your Chiefs program to replace it. What was that cost?
The scoreboard cost was just under $17,000.
$17,000.
Yep.
And no city tax dollars at all. That was all private donations.
It was all private donations.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike. For their away games people are coming here, what's the reason that they can't use some of the other fields, like at the high schools that are beautiful, that I never see anybody on during the weekends?
That was a decision made by the school district not to allow users to utilize those facilities.
Which is a shame, because I know in some cities, towns, they do allow them to use the high school fields for the games. I wish, yeah. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I'll just touch on that. As far as, obviously, the school district here is governed by their own board, so definitely something, if anybody has an issue with that, definitely take it to the school board. But I will tell you again, from being involved in the Chiefs program, many of these away games that we're going to are either a beautiful municipal type field or a school district field that is in great condition. So obviously our options are limited here down to just the municipal field. And then I guess, I don't know if anybody else wants to speak, but.
We have any others? Yeah, come on up and state your name.
My name is Jeremy Beach. I'm a board member director with the Chiefs.
You're a lot shorter than Dan. Can you lower the microphone so we can hear you? I'm sure you're a great football player, though.
My name's Jeremy Beach. I'm a board member director of the Chiefs football field. In regards to funds that can be brought in, as you see, we got our own scoreboard. We do a lot of fundraising. We don't ever ask for anything. Everything that we do is through a volunteer, whether it be our coaches, our team moms. Everything that we do is pretty self-sufficient. These are the one things that we can't do. This field provides a really good safe haven for our kids. We have Sarah Park up here. I was involved with Little League and travel baseball here for about 6-7 years. And I switched down out here about 3 years ago. And it's the same place. It's a good place for these kids to be. Lots of kids that aren't even involved with the Chiefs will come out and hang out on nights of our practice. So we want it to be safe. If we can get a fence there to keep people from coming in when we're not there, we'd love it. Whatever we can get. But I can also highlight, in regards to these out-of-town games, we obviously have things that we would love to do to expand our program. We would like to have off-season programs, like to have people coming up here and doing these things, and it does bring a lot of revenue. I don't have numbers in front of me, and I wish I could have pulled these before I came, but I know last year we had a pretty hectic football season because of COVID. So all the games were in Arizona. So we're talking Arizona, California, Utah, Colorado. Everybody was coming here to play baseball or football. Our field is so small and kind of out of shape, we didn't get a lot of those games coming in. And we're talking the entire city of Vegas, 15 teams coming down a weekend to play. Bullhead City reaped all those benefits with their field house and with their multiple football youth fields that they do have available. So just from our point of view, if you can help us, we can help the city, and we can bring more people in, and we can expand the program and help the kids. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? All right.
I'd like to make a comment
Yes, go
before
right.
you move on.
Yes, go right ahead.
I wasn't fully prepared. I didn't know we were going to move on so quickly, but
No.
I'm looking at it the way this is itemized on our agenda, and I don't see any opportunities for our board to make a recommendation. So I'm just going to state that, and I would love to be corrected if I'm wrong, but that's what it looks like. It looks like a presentation and discussion.
Correct. Yeah, it is just a discussion. If we needed to bring it back as an item that the board wanted to make a motion for, we definitely could. Right now, yeah, it's just open for discussion.
I guess if on that note, then I would just like to state that from time to time we have the opportunity to prioritize projects under parks, and if we can have that brought back to us, that I would like to propose that this be one of those prioritized, either for an improvement piece or better focus on, maintenance or whatever it is needed. I would like to advocate for that. And then I normally do not go this route, but I definitely noticed the increase over the last year from out of town, out of state users of our fields. And so I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to look at our fee structure and really leverage the opportunity to get some revenue to then put back into the fields for, because it's a great opportunity on both ends, in my opinion. So like I said, I don't think that I can really do anything about that with this discussion item, but I just wanted to state that. I don't know if anyone agrees or not.
I
do think to respond to a couple of your comments, yeah, I think the general concept here was to bring it up as a discussion item, to kind of talk about as we prioritize, we move forward in prioritizing what our budget is going to look like, where those funds will be spent. A few years ago, the main focus was soccer, and then pickleball. And I think sometimes that there are other programs that we need to make this board and council aware of, that there are out there, so that when we do go to look at that budget and prioritize, that we're including some of these updates that need to be done at different parks throughout the community.
Absolutely. I guess too is if we go into discussion about this one is what are we looking at cost wise and maintenance wise and manpower wise to maintain the upgrades as we move forward. So I guess, are we looking for a motion then to bring this as an agenda item?
Just a discussion item.
Just
so
a
there
discussion?
would be no motion.
I guess
if we
that would
wanted
be
to.
my question is what's our future here? And I don't know if this is something that, again, that we need to bring up again, that or what exactly the future processes are. I don't know if this is something that you can handle within your department, or if this is something that needs to go to the city council. Obviously, Councilmember Lynn's here. She's hearing the sentiments of the crowd and the board, I believe. But obviously, we don't want momentum to stop. I think the momentum is here tonight for sure. Obviously, like you said, Director, it seems like it's one sport and then the next sport. Well, I think obviously the momentum here is for this sport. So I just want to make sure that we don't drop the ball, that either if it does get put back onto our agenda as an item, or if it needs to get something that's brought to the city council, or what's your recommendations?
So you absolutely right, and we'd never want to kill momentum. Through the budget process would be when we'd be really looking at items like this and where do those funds start. So that process really starts, January, February as we start building that. That allows me at this opportunity to gather that information of what are we talking about as far as, is it a full overhaul of that field? Is it ripping out soil? Is it replacing soil, replacing irrigation system? So that gives us the opportunity from now to January, February, and get those numbers to be able to put them in the budget for council to consider.
Is there money in the budget right now, because this is still a park that's in the system? It sounds to me that there are safety issues in the park right now. I mean, I don't want to see a kid tomorrow break his ankle. If it's already in the park system, shouldn't the parks go in and at least fill some of those holes for those safety issues? Is there a budget for that right now?
Yeah, certainly. We will go in and make sure that the park is safe in a realm of that we're not breaking ankles as far as falling in trip holes and those types of things. And there is some money in the budget that we can address some of the more cosmetic issues. But as far as a full overhaul of that field, we would be looking at a high dollar to an issue that or an item that would need to be looked at by council in the budget process.
I don't think if anybody doesn't have anything else, I just want to thank everybody that came tonight for this item. Everybody that's involved with the Chiefs or, and other users. I know there were supposed to be some other users that are here from the Lake Havasu Titans football team that are an avid user of it. Kudos to you guys. Again, you guys run a great program. There's not a lot of things for the kids to do in the city. So anything that we can get, especially an active sport like this to keep our kids moving is a great thing. So again, kudos to all you guys in this room that are making that happen.
Yes, thank you. Any more comments? I see someone. Doug?
My name is Doug Carr, and I just come from northern Nevada to where I got 4 grandsons, 2 different cities, and it's a shame they do play at the high schools. This town comes and plays the 5 and the 7 and 8-year-olds and 9 and 10s, and then so they get like 6 different games going on, and the next time you're traveling to their city. And but also, if I'm not mistaken, but Lake Havasu Golf Club uses affluent water, but once a year they flood it with regular water. If I'm not mistaken, that kind of helps take the alkaline out of the soil some. I don't know if that can be feasible out there for the football field either. That way, maybe they could grow some, little bit better grass. So, but it is a shame that the school board doesn't let anybody use their, $10 million football field and baseball fields. So anyway, but I guess they're going to let semi-pros play baseball there. If I'm not mistaken. So power to them. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Oh, and congratulations, Scott.
Thanks. I don't know how to take that. Yes, Michelle.
I have a question. If this went into like the budget processes, would this be under a CIP?
I would have to look exactly at how what dollar amount it would take, whether or not that would rank up to a CIP project or if some additional funds added.
All right. Any more comments or anybody want to talk about this? We'll close it out. All right. Seeing none, we will move on to 7.2 update Bureau of Land Management Shoreline Trail. Mr. Keene.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this item was asked to be brought to the board's attention, just kind of an update on this process and where we are with the Bureau of Land Management and the Shoreline Trail. So the Bureau of Land Management has proposed a project to create a shoreline trail that would run between Partners Point and Bill Williams Wildlife Refuge. In January of 2021, the Bureau of Land Management was accepting some public comment on the project. The Parks and Recreation Advisory Board did recommend that a letter of support be sent and was sent to the Bureau for creation of this trail system. The proposed trail would provide beneficial recreational opportunities for hiking, biking, fishing, and backpacking enthusiasts as well as campers. Primarily in the winter months, but it would add a lot to the trail system along Lake Havasu and would promote increased visitation to surrounding trail systems and more year-round use of Lake Havasu shorelines. The trail will expand public access by joining the existing and heavily used Sarah Park trail system and existing routes within the state parks and 73 boat access campsites that are all managed by the Bureau of Land Management. So again, this is a Bureau of Land Management project that we are in support of. We'd really like to see this action happen. So I did reach out to Jason West he is our local representative through the Bureau of Land Management, and received an update from him that this item will be taken up as part of the travel management planning effort that is underway for the 2022 fiscal year. They also hope in 2022 that they will complete the analysis of the project under the NEPA guidelines, so the environmental protection side of that project. That's really the update that I've received from BLM, or the Bureau of Land Management, that we'll see kind of as 2022, as their fiscal year comes about, how that looks in their planning.
Perfect. Anybody else have any questions? This? Nope. All right. Seeing none, I guess I'll move right along. Update 7.3.
Public hearings.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rushing ahead. Would anybody like to speak on this from the public? All right. I was looking out there. I just didn't say it. All right. Update Bureau of Land Management, Sarah Park, patent. Mr. Keene again.
Okay. So a little background on Sarah Park. The city did sign a 25-year lease with the Bureau of Land Management for usage of Sarah Park in 2009. This lease allows the city to operate the park for recreational purposes. The city has applied for a patent of the property, and if granted, would no longer lease the land from Bureau of Land Management, but would have full control of this location. They are working through this process. The process traditionally takes 7 to 10 years to get a patent. Just for the public's knowledge, Rotary Park went through this similar process, and we are granted a patent on that property. So the city has full control over that usage. The only thing that really the Bureau of Land Management would ever be able to come back is it does have to still maintain recreational purposes. So the Sarah Park patent would be the same thing. We can't go and develop it into hotel sites or condos or anything of that nature. It does have to stay as a full recreational site. So the update from the Bureau of Land Management on our patent is that all the documentation has been submitted that was required to complete the patent to the Arizona Bureau of Land Management officer. It looks like it is in Washington, and they are waiting to hear. Again, it is a lengthy process. We are in year 7 of the latest application. So we did start the process a lot earlier than the 7 years, but we have had modifications to that application based on recommendations from the Bureau of Land Management throughout the process. So we're in year 7 of this latest revision. Everything that we're hearing from the Bureau of Land Management, everything looks good. We did complete, they completed an environmental study of the location in April. And that was hopefully to be the last kind of piece of that puzzle, and that would be kind of pushed through. So everything looks positive as far as that, but that's kind of the update is we're waiting on Washington.
Okay. And I know that through that process, there was certain things that might have been needed to be done out there with some of the users and stuff like that. Nothing's been brought up about any of that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of recommendations, nothing that stood out to them as glaring red flags. There was some debris in some of the washes they were concerned about. Obviously, the shooting range is always going to be a bit of a concern, just with the amount of the clay pigeons, as well as the possibility that there would be any lead contamination out there. But they did not say that any of that needed to be taken care of immediately. I think in that process, it was just making sure that the city knows what they're taking the patent of.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if the Bureau of Land Management provides any. I'm gonna start my question over. Are there any benefits to leasing the land? Like, are there any costs that the BLM currently takes care of? I'm just not sure about that.
The main advantage to us of not leasing the land is anytime we would want to do any changes or hold big events, we don't have to really go and ask for permission. It is fully city controlled at that point. Does the Bureau of Land Management, are there any costs associated with them owning the property? I don't believe so.
Okay, so they're not covering any improvements or maintenance or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Any improvements to the park are from the user groups themselves, and then city resources for the road, water, that type of activities.
And I remember being a child playing at Mud Shark Beach before it became Rotary. So it would be really neat to see another patent happen and see what we can do with that.
Yes. Right. Anybody else? Anything to say?
I just have a question for clarification. So the lease, let's say we don't get the patent granted or whatever the case may be, the lease is after the 25 years they could terminate our lease technically.
They certainly could. We would renegotiate with the hopes of re-signing an identical lease in 2030 by 2034. I believe is the date on that master lease. Again, Bureau of Land Management, really, it's for recreational purposes. That's what they want to keep the land for. So Sarah Park fits perfectly in their mission. So they could certainly decide that they did not want to extend that lease if we got to that date without a patent. The likelihood of that would be slim.
But I guess the positive side of the patent is they don't. If we do get that patent, they wouldn't have the ability to take that back, correct?
Correct.
But I guess it's still technically public land. The city wouldn't own that land, or is it just what's the?
Yeah, technically yes, we wouldn't own it, but we would be in full control of that space.
For example, could we at that point actually put a sign out there that said City Park of Lake Halfway City?
Possibly. Signage gets very tricky because it's on State Highway 95. So we would have to find the right location to sign that. Exactly. That is city property and not in the right of way of the State 95.
It's just that the city of Kingman has the park, the city park. City of Bullhead City has a city park. And at this point, we don't really have, our city doesn't have what you would call a city park.
I guess some clarification on that a little bit. I mean, we do have.
Are we talking just the naming of a city park, like a Lake Havasu City Park, or are we?
Okay. Park.
Okay, so just basically the naming of it as a city park.
We're going to be it.
Certainly, and the naming of that park is could be at that time up for discussion as well.
Just confuse everybody. Being Sarah for so long.
And my last question is to you. This patent, does this include like the hiking trails at all, or is this just the current usage?
It is within the current boundaries. So you leave when you go out to hike in Sarah Park. One of the pieces that I think a lot of people don't know is you leave city property pretty quickly.
City limits, correct?
The city limits there, yes. So while we have very nice trailhead there within a couple hundred yards, you actually leave city limits and city property. So those pieces, the boundaries would not be changing in this patent process.
Thank you.
We gave them a nice area to start from. Made it look good for them. No. Anybody else have any? Nope. All right. Anybody from the public? Come right on up. Been a while.
This is Mary Van Roy, and I'm here because I got really excited when I heard the patent was going to be on. I thought maybe it was ready. So I've been waiting and waiting for many years. This is a brown book, we call it, from the equestrian design trails, and trailheads, and campgrounds. And I'm a member of the ASCOT, the Arizona Parks and Trails Committee, and we have actually a meeting this Friday. But Jan Hancock, who wrote this book, and it's an international book, and it's free from the government. They are very, very supportive of us getting a grant when we get the patent. And I guess it isn't done yet. But it's really close. And we've always looked at the old Armory site, and we actually park our horse trailers there and ride out from there. And we're also members of the Friends of the Fair. And so when the Backcountry Horsemen donated our funds to them, we got the rodeo grounds going. And that was exciting, but then the gates get closed, so we can't use the arenas or the area either for parking horse trailers when we ride out on our trails. And so the Armory site, the old Armory site, is perfect for us. It's big, wide open space across from the dog park, and trails are accessible from there. We like to ride down at the lake and everything. So I've talked to many of the city people, and I just want you to know that Arizona State Parks and Trails would help us get a grant to allow us to put in a really nice equestrian park. Wouldn't be overnight camping because we've already been told we can't do that. But we can set up a nice equestrian trailhead. And I'm pretty excited about it because we kind of use it now, but we really would like to have some facilities there. So that's what I came for tonight. I was kind of excited, but now you kind of shot my...
We're still working on it. It's getting close.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I know you've been working on that for a long time and trying to get that going. So it would be nice to get that taken care of for you and everybody else that would use it. Okay, any other questions, any comments from the people out there? All right, future discussion items, then I guess we'll move us on to. Michelle, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there.
So I'm not sure how this fits in here, but tomorrow, Mr. Keene will be presenting to the council about the Downtown Catalyst project. And I just kind of was wondering what the involvement of this board is going to be on that. And if you were thinking that might be an agenda item you might want to talk about.
Thank you for that segue. Yes, I had it written down here as an item that just to inform the board if the design of the parcel on McCullough-Quario is approved tomorrow night by council, then one of the areas that we've been talking about as far as public comment and ways to get the information out to the public and have them give us feedback on what exactly the design of that space, that event space could look like. We really want to incorporate this board in that process. So definitely an area that will advertise public meetings and be able to incorporate. So thank you for that segue piece. Again, that's all dependent on it being approved by council tomorrow night.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. And I had something brought to my attention. I know years ago we did the bike lane, traffic study, stuff like that. I guess a refresher on where we ended up with that. I know that now with the weather getting better and more people getting out there, there were questions about safer areas to ride, bike lanes and stuff like that. So I just thought, if we can figure out where we're at with that and where we ended up with it, I guess.
Yeah, we'll need a second, but certainly we could have a representative from the MPO bring up the study that was done as a pedestrian and bike plan a couple years ago. But certainly could have a representative or try to get a representative here for an update of where that plan sits and what's the steps in that.
Perfect. Thank you.
I would just ask that we, again, with the Island Ball Field, maybe bring it back in 90 days or 3 months or so, just as an update. That's a possibility.
And we still do need to hear seconds on both of those items.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, all right. Motion for the
An update on the MPO study, the bike and pedestrian plan.
There you go.
I'll second that.
In motion, we got a first or a second, or we got a
Will you-
second.
will
I
you
don't know if
state
we
mine
jumped
as a
over.
motion? I apologize.
I lost control here for a second. All right. And then
I'll, I guess, make a motion to bring it back, bring the Island Ball Field, I guess it's called, back in 30 days, or I'm sorry, 90 days as an update.
I'll second that.
all right, got a first and a second. Everyone in favor? Perfect. All right. If I'm on track here again, future meetings.
Sorry, I guess that's me as well. So the next meeting is scheduled for October 25th, and the one following will be November 28th.
Okay. And here, scheduled here again, as far as we know, as of right now. All right, in this location. All right. And our last, if I can get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Adjourned.